Accessing growth capital is one of the biggest challenges facing entrepreneurs. If we want to build a healthy innovation ecosystem and startup community, this is a problem we can't afford to ignore. Unlocking capital for entrepreneurs in our community through collaboration and network building is just one of the many ways Accelerate Okanagan is supporting founders of all types and at every stage of growth. The Okanagan Angel Summit was designed to bridge the gap between companies looking for growth capital and investors looking for investable companies. This summit is not just about one winner. It's about training entrepreneurs and investors in the capital raising process, making it easier to invest and get investment. It's about building an investment community within the Okanagan to ensure that companies based here don't have to go far to get the funding they need, and companies from outside the region can look to Okanagan Tech to help them succeed. The Okanagan Angel Summit has been a huge success. In its first year, over $4 million was placed in participating companies. This number is a sign of something we've known for some time. Big things are happening, and we're just getting started. Are you a potential investor who wants to see a change in the world? Or are you a growing company looking for investment? Let's start the conversation. The Okanagan Angel Summit is the opportunity you've been waiting for.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third annual Okanagan Angel Summit. My name is Alex Goodhue. I'm the community manager here at Accelerate Okanagan, and I'm so excited to be your host this evening. Thanks for hanging out with me. So we do have an action-packed evening ahead of us. We'll be giving away prizes using this fun, cool envelope wall behind me. Stay tuned, you'll learn more later. We'll be hearing pitches from the final 6 companies, and of course, we're very excited to have Arlene Dickinson, the entrepreneur, investor, and star of Dragon's Den as our keynote speaker this evening. We are so pleased that we can all come together this evening from a range of locations on this virtual platform. I would like to start by acknowledging that many of us are gathered today on the unceded territories of the Silks Okanagan people. We feel so incredibly lucky to live, work, and play in this Okanagan Valley. For those joining us from other locations, please take a moment to recognize the territory from which you're joining us this evening. All right, so I love how that video kicked us off by sharing a little bit about the goal of the Okanagan Angel Summit, which is to bridge the gap between companies looking for growth capital and investors looking for investable companies. This year, we had 29 investors participate, creating a $145,000 investment fund for the winning company tonight. And it has taken a ton of support for us to get to this moment today. We want to express a huge thank you to NRC IRAP and all of our sponsors. We could not do this program without you. It takes a whole community to make this happen. So big virtual round of applause for BDO, BMO, Lawson Lundell, MNP, BDC, Capri CMW, Valhalla Angels, the City of Kelowna, and the Central Okanagan Economic Development Commission. Thank you, all of you, so much. We couldn't do it without you, truly. All right, so let's chat a little bit about this platform we're using this evening. So a couple housekeeping items. There are different floors to this virtual venue that you can see on the side of Remo. You can use the little elevator to move up and down throughout the floors during the networking breaks. I highly recommend taking advantage of those networking breaks. We have a ton of investors, companies, other attendees, tons of people you can meet. Right now, I can see there's over 200 people on this platform right now, so the opportunities are endless. We would also love to hear from where you're joining tonight. So there's a little chat platform on the side here. You can take the opportunity to just put in the location. Let's test out this chat. Let's make sure it's working. I want to hear from you a little bit and see where everyone's tuning in from this evening. Also, the amazing Accelerate Okanagan team is attending this evening, and you can find a bunch of them in the different help desk locations on every single floor. So if you have any questions throughout the evening, or if you're thinking, this Okanagan Angel Summit thing sounds super fun, I want to figure out how I can be involved next year, just go and chat with one of the AO team members. We're happy to answer any questions that you have. All right, so if you do want to speak to any of the companies pitching today, they do all have a booth on floor 1. So during those networking breaks, you can go to the specific floor and table associated with that company and go and chat with them, tell them how you enjoyed their pitches and everything. And then after Arlene's keynote, there is a Q&A opportunity. So You can be putting your questions in the Q&A component on Remo, and you can upvote them as well, and we'll make sure to ask as many of the favorites out there as possible that we can get to this evening. So let's chat agenda for the evening. We're hanging out for a while tonight, so you want to know what you're getting into. So 4:30, virtual doors open and networking. Already did that. Go us. 4:45, welcome and acknowledgement. That's right now, so we're really crushing it. And 5 o'clock, pitches, where we'll be starting with Streamline Athletes, Beyond Aerospace, and Engine. Then we'll have a short networking break before we dive into the next round of pitches, which will be from Tech Brew Robotics, Rocket Plan, and Live It. Then we'll go into a little bit more networking. You can meet a ton of different people this evening, and then we'll roll into the keynote presentation from Arlene Dickinson. And then to wrap the whole night off, we'll be doing some winning announcements to talk through a People's Choice winner, as well as the winner of the Okanagan Angel Summit this year. So for our first guest this evening, to kick things off, I would like to invite Kelowna Mayor Colin Basran to the virtual stage to say a welcome.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and welcome to the 2021 Angel Summit. I too would like to acknowledge that we are gathered today on the traditional, ancestral, unceded territory of the Syilx Okanagan people. So it's a pleasure to welcome Arlene Dickinson to this event, even though it's online this time. I know we all look forward to hearing about her journey and her advice for our local early stage companies. The City of Kelowna also greatly appreciates Accelerate Okanagan for running the summit program and, over the long term, nurturing local investors who will support our city's fast-growing technology and entrepreneurial enterprises. This is a great event to build relationships between investors who can share their expertise and advice with talented people with bright new ideas. The billion-dollar-a-year technology sector, the region's fastest-growing economic driver, is fueled by international investment, a support network for entrepreneurs, and a culture of research and development at our university and college campuses. Kelowna's small business sector is balanced with some large institutional employers that form stable pillars of our local economy, like Kelowna International Airport, the University of British Columbia, Okanagan, Okanagan College, and Interior Health, and Kelowna General Hospital all continue to grow and bring skilled professionals to our city. Thanks again to Accelerate Okanagan, to Arlene Dickinson, to our investors, and a big thank you to our finalists tonight. We really admire and appreciate your entrepreneurial energy and wish you all the success in the future. And we hope the Angel Summit is just one of the reasons that you'll consider calling Kelowna home if you don't already. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you so much, Colin, for joining us this evening, and thank you to the City of Kelowna for being an ongoing sponsor of this event. All right, so a moment that I've been waiting for is to do the first giveaway by using this cool envelope wall behind me. So just so you know, every single individual who is registered tonight, your name is somewhere in one of these envelopes behind me. So everyone's got a shot at winning. And we have 3 of these separate prize draws. So if you don't win the first time, keep crossing those fingers, you might win one of the next ones. So let's jump into it. The winner of this draw will receive an Okanagan Lifestyle bag of goodies. So virtual drum roll, please. Mirna, congratulations. So this is our first winner. We will be in touch with you to provide you with your prize pack. So congratulations. All right, so that was a fun part for me. I'm excited to do 2 more of those. And now we're ready to dive into the pitches. All right, so here's how they're going to work. The founder will come up to do their 5-minute pitch. Then I will welcome the due diligence investor to join on the virtual stage to present their due diligence report and facilitate a short Q&A with the entrepreneur. We have randomly selected the order, and Brett was lucky number 1. So Brett Montrose from Streamline Athletes, I would like to welcome you to the stage now. Hi, Brett.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
I can't hear you quite yet. We're just going to do a quick check. I can see you though, so that's looking great. All right.
You got me now?
Perfect. Take it away, Brett.
All right. First slide, please. We are Streamline Athletes, a college sports recruitment platform that supports high school athletes in their journey to university, and the university teams recruiting those athletes for their programs. Next slide, please. Now, I want you to imagine for a moment that I'm a university coach. My job relies on my ability to enroll new student athletes at my school. And in order to recruit new student athletes, I need to scour competition results, find contact information for the athletes, start conversations with them, and then maintain these conversations over months. This costs my program $75,000 a year, and 98% of the conversations that I'm having do not result in a new signing, a new athlete on my roster. Next slide, please. With Streamline Athletes, though, I save all of this time and money dedicated to screening prospective student athletes. I set my recruiting standards and I automate my outreach. I can also target athletes using filters like grade that they're in, male, female, performance level. And then I'm only connected with athletes who meet my standards and who have expressed reciprocal interest in joining my team. Next slide, please. From the athlete's perspective, only 7% of high school student athletes continue on to the collegiate level, despite 75% of them having the desire to do that. So let's pretend for a minute that I'm one of those athletes. There's over 1,700 universities out there that I could attend, but it takes me and my parents 5 hours for each school that I recruit or research. And then when I find a school that I'm interested in, I don't know how to contact them and I don't know what information to send. And if I seek outside help, it can cost me up to $5K to work with an agency. Next slide, please. With Streamline Athletes, I create my athlete profile, and then I can use the platform to filter all of those schools based on what's important to me, and then I can contact the coaches. Streamline Athletes gives me and my parents a ton of confidence in my decision. We save time, and we have a free alternative to the costly and ineffective recruiting agencies. Next slide. Speaking of agencies, our competitors rely on a dated agency model that means that athletes pay high premiums. They're treated the same regardless of what sport they participate in, and they encounter bias. But with our model, athletes have free access. Sports specificity provides the right information for confident decisions. Objective data removes bias and adds transparency on both sides of the recruiting journey, and coaches are the ones who are paying for long-term recruiting solutions. Next slide, please. Our revenue comes primarily from the college and university teams themselves. This is our B2B market. Pricing is based on the caliber of the athletes they're looking to recruit and ranges from US $600 a year to $24,000. Next slide, please. Now, I submitted these slides 2 days ago on Tuesday, so the numbers are going to be upgraded, which is a great thing. So we've made some new sales. We're now up to 33 paid collegiate teams. So those are our B2B clients. We have 2,000 athletes with Streamline Athletes accounts, and we're seeing this number go up. Our current MRR is now up to 7K, and we're actually anticipating this to eclipse the 20K mark in June. New slide, please. Our immediate market is the 5,000 collegiate teams that are spending $278 million a year on recruiting. And this is across the 6 sports that we plan to expand to immediately. And in these same 6 sports, we're looking at 3.2 million athletes across them. But when we go beyond this market, looking at team sports, esports, and things that we can do beyond just recruiting, we're looking at market potential of $2.67 billion. And our timing is great in market as well. COVID has actually shifted things to us a little bit faster. So we're seeing higher demand for recruiting to be moving online as a result of COVID. Next slide, please. Our founders are former collegiate athletes. We've lived the problems that we're solving, and we share a background in digital marketing, recruitment technology, and collegiate sports recruiting. We're joined by a technical co-founder in Greer and some female leadership in Sophie and Rachel. Our other 22 staff and our advisory board share a wealth of experience in college sport and with domain-specific expertise. Next slide, please. We're currently in market with our B2B and B2C track and field technology. And our immediate goal is to solidify our company as the market leader there, expand to new sports, and then scale with new technology. Last slide, please. We're raising $1 million. We have great traction, and this will give us runway through January 2023 and the ability to grow even faster. Thanks so much. Last slide.
Thank you so much, Brett. That was wonderful. And congratulations on making it to the final 6. It's great having you here.
Thank you.
So I would now like to welcome up Carolyn Schaefer, the due diligence lead investor, to join Brett on stage.
Hi, Alex.
Hi, Carolyn. Welcome. We can see and hear you just great. So take it away.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Schaefer, and I'm the due diligence lead for Streamline. I just want to start by thanking my team. They had expertise in product, digital marketing, and finance, and that was helpful in our due diligence questions. Regarding Streamline's team, we found that Alex and Brett as founders were dedicated and committed, and we enjoyed working with them. As they've indicated, they both had experience in college sports. Alex had additional experience in recruiting, and Brett had additional experience in marketing, and that we found really positioned them well to understand the market they were going into, the problem they were solving, and the challenges that they would be facing. We also got to meet their Sophie and their head of strategic growth, Rachel, who both showed strong leadership and management styles. They have a technical co-founder, which is important. And I got to join one of their weekly meetings with their 22 employees, and all of the employees seemed to be really clear about their objectives and their goals and were well supported. With respect to the company itself, we had questions about their market size, their ability to scale, and their ability to reach both the athletes and the colleges. So with their ability to scale and the market size, we found that they were very thorough in the questions they asked, very specific about what markets they were going into and why, and they're very conscientious and had very clear timelines about the ability to scale, and they were very reasonable. With respect to the ability to reach customers and users, we found that they had multiple strategies for digital marketing and for social media. They were all being well executed, and that's evidenced just by the numbers they're showing, with 2,000 athletes on the platform already, and the growth of 33 customers, with half of that, I think, being during this competition alone. So we were really impressed to see that. Dave, one of our team members, also had the opportunity to talk to their customers, and they're showing product market fit. So the questions I have for Brett are regarding scalability. Brett, can you explain your strategy to scale with individual sport recruitment and other horizontals and verticals such as team management, esports, and team sport recruiting, and your anticipated exit based on that?
I can. I apologize there. When you came on stage, Carolyn, I lost my camera and mic, so hopefully you can hear me now. In terms of scaling and our exit plan, based on market comparables, a lot of M&A that's been happening in the sports tech space, and our financial projections, our plan is to exit via acquisition in about 6 years from now for a price tag in the neighborhood of $120 million. Scaling really comes down to building user-friendly software that we can apply to multiple sports without having to recreate everything. And then also listening to our customers to find what those new revenue streams could be and build new tools for them. Touching on the market, in the recruitment space, that's the $278 million market that I mentioned. And then when we go beyond looking at things like team sports, the really quickly growing esports space, we're opening up that $2.67 billion market.
Thank you, Brett. Our second question is, Streamline Athletes wants to disrupt college recruitment space and find a better fit for teams and athletes. Can you explain why that's important?
Yeah, well, for us, I think it's personal and it's social. So as student athletes, Alex and I noticed how many decisions were being made by high schoolers and collegiate coaches with just not quite enough information there. And that's the personal part. So we want more student athletes to experience that opportunity that we got to have. When we look at the social impact side, that just goes back to the fact that there's more roster space, more scholarship opportunity available for all of these athletes who desire to continue on and pursue an education and continue with their sport. So it's really about raising that 7% up to 10 or even 15% with our efforts, so that more student athletes have the opportunity to experience sport at the collegiate level and therefore contribute to society in a more impactful way.
Thank you, Brett. As we indicated, we really enjoyed working with your team.
Carolyn, thank you for everything over the last little while, and good luck to everyone else tonight. Thanks so much.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Carolyn, for joining us. So up next, we have Mike Ball from Beyond Aerospace. Welcome to the virtual stage, Mike. Amazing.
Thanks, Alex.
I can see you, I can hear you, all's looking good. Take it away and have fun.
Fantastic, thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mike Ball. I'm the CEO and founder of Beyond Aerospace, and our business is providing secure airborne video software for government military drone applications. Next, please. So these are not your typical commercial drones that you'll see at Best Buy buzzing around over a soccer game. These are sorry, can I get the slide up? It's jumping around on me. Thank you. These are multi-million-dollar sophisticated drones that can fly thousands of kilometers beyond line of sight. And the capability that we provide to our customers is the ability to stream video from these platforms from anywhere in the world to anywhere in the world securely over untrusted commercial networks. We do this through a combination of airborne software, integrating with sensors and encoding and encryption, a fully decentralized video platform on the back end with automated analytics and secure mobile applications. Next slide, please. Our target market in the government military surveillance area is $120 billion a year. And although that market is growing, the key thrusts technologically that are changing that market under the hood are the adoption of autonomous systems and replacing conventional aircraft and naval vessels and boots on the ground. And this is where we play. This is our specialty, is in these autonomous systems. And this is really our niche. And this is why this market is exciting to us. Next slide, please. So being government and military, our customers have a unique set of security challenges. Data privacy, data security are of utmost importance. When they're making life and death decisions based on the surveillance data they're receiving, they need to know when it was generated, what asset generated it, and have assurances that that data hasn't been tampered with, especially when they're operating in adversarial environments. This is where we've developed a unique set of cybersecurity technologies based on enterprise blockchain technology and other cryptographic techniques with multiple patents in place. And this is kind of our secret sauce, and this is what we use to compete for these government contracts. Next slide, please. So if flying robot blockchain is not interesting enough, we actually have a fairly good amount of traction so far. Through multiple government contracts, we've fully funded the end-to-end development of this software platform, including the airborne segment, the terrestrial segment, and all of the cybersecurity technologies. And 12 months from now, we will be demonstrating this live to the Canadian military and integrating with their back-end systems. We have significant revenue growth just based on the contracts that we have right now. We're growing 320% year over year this year, another 115% next year, with more to come. Next slide, please. An example of how we can grow this even further, we're not necessarily pigeonholed into video. Using the same technology, we've actually secured a US DoD launch customer for a different application, which is securing energy logistics and distribution throughout the Pacific theater. And what's really interesting about this company or this customer is that they supply logistics to the entire US military worldwide. So if we're successful in delivering this contract, this could turn us into a $50, $100 million company just based on this one opportunity alone. Next slide, please. This is kind of an example of our contract transition model, and this is how we win business, and this is how we compete. So we start on the basis of innovation with responding to challenges that come from government to solve problems that haven't been solved before. Once we demonstrate a viable solution to them, we receive additional funding to build a prototype. And once we've demonstrated that prototype, there's follow-on contract awards that can be orders of magnitude larger than what we already have in this particular contract stream. Up to $20 million sole source acquisitions can follow out of these development contracts. Next slide, please. An example of competition. So in the video space, where we're currently very active, some companies that we may compete with along the way that have shown up in these are Thales, McDonnell Detweiler, multi-billion-dollar government defense contractors, and we're able to go toe-to-toe with them on the basis of innovation. And as we start to become a competitive threat to them, we also become an acquisition target. So competition is not necessarily a bad thing for us. Next slide, please. From a financial perspective, since we started this competition, we've won over $1 million in new business. We'll be cash flow positive operationally next quarter. And we're in the last stages of securing the non-dilutive financing that we need to provide working capital to execute on these contracts. And we have a significant growth trajectory just with the business that we currently have and developing those contracts and executing on those and transitioning them. Not to say that we don't have a robust sales pipeline as well. You might be thinking, well, what are you doing in the Angel Summit? Why are you looking for money here? And it's really more so the investor community and the local tech community and tapping into that experience and that expertise and building those relationships so that we can leverage that to grow the company faster and better and really take us to the next level. So that's what we're hoping to get out of this at the end of the day. Next slide, please. So just a big thank you on behalf of myself and the team to the investors, the attendees tonight, and everybody on the due diligence team that's really helped kind of craft our vision of the company and challenge us and keep us honest. It's been a fantastic experience, and thank you to everybody.
Amazing. Congratulations, Mike. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I would now like to welcome Mark Betteridge, the due diligence lead investor, to join Mike on stage. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you.
Wonderful. We can see and hear you, so take it away.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'll hide. This has been a privilege. First of all, thank you to the due diligence team. An amazing group of people. The mutual learning that goes on is wonderful. I've learned more from this role than I have as trying to run a small company separately. What we've done, we went into their basics. We looked at their governance. We looked at their documentation, where they stand with the tax man for finances. We went through all of the resumes that we were provided for the team members. And I think we spoke to every one but one of the people on the team. And everything has come up really clean. We have not unearthed any problems. And I think that's important for you to know. Their team, the team of this company is, if you add it all up, they are multilingual. Most of them are engineers of various types. They have presence in San Diego, Alexandria, Virginia, Calgary, and Kelowna. And they have international experience in a couple of cases well beyond that. Mike's mentioned to you about their financial standing, and the one thing that we had to learn, took a while, was that this company generates revenue from winning these consulting contracts and then has the right to use the intellectual property commercially. So it's all really solid. So I have two questions, Mike, if you're ready.
Yep.
As most investors want to know, what kind of exit is most likely for equity investors? It's a little confusing to some of them because you're working with government and military contracts. So what kind of exit can they see?
As far as an exit goes, Mark, there's a big difference between building a company to exit and allowing yourself to be acquired. And I'd say we fall in the latter half. What we're trying to do is build a profitable, high growth, sustainable business with defensible IP. And I think if we're successful in doing that, we'll become a natural acquisition target. So if you think about the defense and aerospace area, there's a lot of consolidation that happens because once you get big, it's really difficult to innovate. And that's where we can be really competitive and come in and do new things that nobody's done before. And so, like I kind of mentioned before, as we start to become a competitive threat based on our innovation and people start to notice us, we will just naturally be absorbed into another company if we so choose. So there's a number of them out there too. I mean, there's literally dozens of these large companies that really just buy other companies for a living and bring them in under the hood. So I'd say, long story short, within a couple of years, I would expect somebody to want to acquire us. But if that doesn't happen, I'm perfectly happy running this business for the next 20 years and generating tons of free cash flow.
Okay, well, thank you. You made mention of a couple of your major competitors by name in your presentation, but who are names that some of us would relate to? Who are your major competitors and how are you beating them? Why are you able to beat them?
Yeah, Companies like McDonnell Detweiler, that you may have heard of, very active in the defense space and so forth. Thales is a French company that you may not have heard of, but they're pretty big. All of these are multi-billion-dollar companies, and they do show up in the same area that we do. But with the team that we have, with the engineers that we have, and the specialists in our various domains, cybersecurity and aerospace, I mean, we really have the best team that I've come across in this industry for the types of solutions that we go after. And we're able to be really creative in how we solve our customers' problems. So we're not super focused on the competition. We're really more focused on solving the problems for our customers. And I think that in itself makes us a little bit unique.
Okay, thank you. We have a few seconds left, so I'm going to give you a third question. It says here, if, but when you secure significant new contracts, as you're proving you can do, and you're in line to compete for a $20 million one, up to 20 million, are you going to be able to find the people you need? And ideally, are you going to be able to find the people you need here in the Okanagan?
Well, whether it's in the Okanagan or whether it's virtual, one of the things about COVID that's been kind of interesting is it's normalized the working from home and working remote. And we're already a very distributed global team, so we can really pull in resources from anywhere in the world. And with the funding structure that we have in place, we can turn on the taps quickly if we need to. So as soon as we need to run, we can hit go and really ramp this up. And we're not really subject to geographical constraints, as much as I love to build talent here in town.
Got it. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much to both Mike and Mark for your time this evening and joining us. And congratulations, Mike, on making it to the top 6. So up next, our third pitch this evening, and the last one before we head into a networking break, I would like to introduce Jin Choi from Engine. Welcome, Jin.
Hi, how are you doing?
Great.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you.
Take it away.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm honored to be giving the final pitch for my company, Engine. And I would like to start off with a question. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Who wants to be a billionaire? In this pitch, I'm going to show you a realistic path towards achieving that goal. Next slide, please. The plan is simple. You start off with $1 million, and if you can grow that money by 26% per year for 30 years, you'll be left with $1 billion. And that example shows the power of compound growth. And Engine's mission is to harness that power by creating investment strategies that try to achieve as high a rate of return as possible. And we think that this differentiates Engine from a lot of startups that are still trying to find product market fit. Because why this is pretty obvious. But the question for us is always going to be, can we build it? Next slide, please. And industry statistics show how difficult this challenge can be. Out of 40,000 funds that we looked at in the database, only 200 funds were able to generate 26% per year or higher rate of return in the past decade. That's just 0.5% of funds. So what gives us the confidence that we can do what 99.5% of funds cannot? Next slide, please. The answer lies in machine learning. We believe that the machine learning approach is superior to the traditional methods of managing investments. And again, industry statistics bear this out. Out of the 2,300 hedge funds tracked by Eureka Hedge, only 23 use machine learning to a serious extent. And those 23 hedge funds have significantly outperformed the rest of its peers. Next slide, please. And we're confident that we can build a good machine learning model because we have the track record of doing so. For the past 3 years, we've ran a consulting business where customers come to us with requests to build models that they themselves cannot build. And we have been able to build models for them in every single case. Next slide, please. And we also are making progress in terms of creating an investment strategy that looks good on a back test. In the previous pitch, I showed you a back test of a strategy that returned 13% per year. Since then, we've been able to produce a back test that returned 14% per year, and we will continue to push that number higher. Next slide, please. But getting here has not been easy. It's taken us 1.5 years of hard work and $500,000 of the money that we generated from the consulting business to get to this point. And we think that if we want to build a strategy that, say, returns 26% per year, it's going to take 2 years and $2 million of investment. Next slide, please. And we're going to fund those that research through a combination of revenue generated from our strategies and equity rounds. We're not going to wait until we have a strategy that returns 26% per year before we start generating revenue. A strategy that returns 14% per year is plenty high. So we expect to be able to generate revenue towards the end of this year. But nevertheless, we do expect to burn cash for the next 3 years. But we do plan on generating $10 million in revenues in 5 years' time in 2026. Now, some people might look at $10 million in 5 years and say that's too low. But consider that we operate in a huge market, so we can grow at a fast rate for a long period of time. And we don't think we need a lot of equity rounds to get profitable. Next slide, please. So in summary, why should you invest in Engine? In summary, because we are building the technology that will enable you to become a billionaire. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jin. And now I would like to welcome Thomas Dick to the virtual stage, who is the due diligence lead investor, to join Jin. Welcome, Thomas. Just make sure when you're joining, you have your mic and your camera on, Thomas. We're just waiting a moment, so stay tuned. Amazing. There we are. Hi, Thomas.
Super. Hi. Thanks, Alex.
Wonderful. We can see and hear you, so take it away.
All right. Great. Good evening, everyone. I had the good fortune of spending a fair bit of time with Jin and his team, along with the other investors on our due diligence team. And I think I'd like to share a few observations we had through that process. I think, I'd start with some of the basics, which is, while the products that Jin and his team are building are anything but simple, their business structure actually is, and super easy to understand. So as a due diligence team, we really spent most of our time really trying to focus on what is the opportunity and what is really Engine's likelihood and their ability to win. And on this front, I think we saw three things that made us quite optimistic. The first one is that this is an absolutely huge market. And unless you work in financial services, you might not be aware of the scale of money that is being managed professionally, which globally today is over $100 trillion. And so what this means practically, though, business where you have to win the entire market or be the dominant market share, a very small fraction of that market can generate quite significant returns. So it's not a winner-take-all space. So there's definitely room. The second thing is there really hasn't been a major innovation or change to the way money is managed in several decades. Today money managers use well-understood processes and metrics to assess the value of their companies and securities, and then they layer onto that intuition. And increasingly, money managers around the world are seeing the use of artificial intelligence as a way to improve significantly the quality of their investment decisions. And it's partly why this is such a hot sector right now. And then the third thing we saw was that one of the most difficult things to overcome as a startup is to get your foot in the door and to get your first product into market. And Engine is within about 60 days of finalizing a deal to do just that with a US money manager who currently manages about $1 billion US. So on all three of those dimensions, we check the box. So that's why we're excited about Engine. Maybe Jin, I'll ask you a couple of questions for the team. First of all, it might be helpful if you could sort of explain what makes machine learning approach unique versus the traditional way asset managers manage their money.
Yeah, for sure. So machine learning, in its essence, is advanced pattern recognition. So it's able to look at a vast trove of data and tease out patterns that are essentially invisible to the human eye because the patterns themselves are very complex. So in this sense, we say that machine learning models have an analytical edge over human beings. And machine learning models also have what's known as a behavioral edge in the sense that machine learning models are not impressed by some of the more frivolous aspects that can impress a human being, such as the height of the CEO of a company. Now, there are other investors, traditional investors, who use statistics, and they're known as quants. And the difference between us and quants is the complexity of the models. So quants generally tend to stick with very simple models, whereas we tend to stick with very create very complex models. To draw an analogy, the complexity difference is like comparing a passenger carrying airplane to a drone.
Mm-hmm. Great. This is clearly a market and a type of business where talent really is the difference between winning and not succeeding. And so, how would you describe your team and others versus others that are in this space? And what's your ability to secure great talent?
Yeah, I think we have a good team, because if we didn't have a good team, we wouldn't be able to deliver on the projects that we have. Our clients also have masters and PhDs in their fields, and so if they come to us and request this because it's complicated, and if we were poor at it, we wouldn't be able to deliver. We've been fortunate to attract a lot of really bright minds, because there are not very many startups in this space that does machine learning to a serious extent in the asset management field. So if you're a really bright financial mathematician, and if you don't want to work for a big company and be embroiled in the bureaucracy, we're one of the only options left.
Great. And a fun group to work with. So it's all adding up.
Yeah.
Terrific. Well,
thank you.
Thanks. Over to you, Alex.
Amazing. Thank you so much, both Jin and Thomas. That just wrapped up our first set of 3 pitches. There will be 3 more after the break. Right, so we're about to head into our next round of pitches. So we have 3 more pitches coming up. The first one is with Mike Boudreau from Tech Brew Robotics. Welcome to the stage, Mike.
Good day.
Welcome. I can see and hear you, so take it away. The stage is yours.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. I'm Mike Boudreau with Tech Brew Robotics, and I'd like to share some fungi facts with you. 22 billion pounds of fresh mushrooms are handpicked every year, and labor pain is crippling the industry. This is the largest automation opportunity I've seen in 35 years. Next fungi fact, please. Next slide. There. So when I say next fungi fact, I mean next slide. So go back a couple, please. We're a little ahead now. Okay, so we've been building industrial robotics solutions that solve the toughest industrial problems in food processing and other industries. Next, please. So next fungi fact is mushrooms like dark, damp, cold, and smelly places. People don't. The very large mushroom industry is in real labor pain. One producer alone in the Fraser Valley has 240 open positions. You can see by the list of things on the slide here, it's an ergonomically nasty job. And if it wasn't for temporary foreign worker program, the industry would basically collapse. This quote, "Solving our labor issues is our priority 1, 2, and 3 for me," is from one of the larger producers in Canada, the CEO of one of the larger producers in Canada. Next slide. Fungi fact: if you pick mushrooms around the clock, you can get 20% more by weight. Harvesting labor is half the cost of production, so robots address both of these issues. Next slide, please. So next fungi fact is robot price $150,000 provides an easy 2-year payback based on that labor and yield savings. And if we follow through on everything well, we'll achieve a $40 million annual revenue within 3 years. Residual revenue streams include service contracts and artificial intelligence licensing. Next fungi fact, please. The mushroom industry has an unmet need for robotic automation for the last 30 years. The robot market for this application is about $10 billion worldwide, 500 of which is in North America. Next fact, please. This slide shows early bird growers that have been engaged with us to date. They represent $350 million worth of potential robot business. We've signed a pilot agreement worth $1.25 million with 3 of these companies, and their sales funnel potential to us is $220 million. Next fact, please. TechBrew is 2 years ahead, according to industry experts, from our nearest competitor. Only TechBrew offers a complete industrial food safe solution, and our robots are currently 3 times faster than the closest competitor, most of which are quasi-academics and early stage companies. Next slide, please. Barriers to entry: this is a tough space. People have been trying for 30 years to get into it. We're using proprietary technology and we're actively pursuing patents. Next slide, please. February 2019, TechBrew knew nothing about the mushroom market. We proceed to receive $800,000 in grant funding to date to help with our development. By the way, we received another $500,000 grant today. We solved the 30-year problem to find and pick mushrooms without damaging them. We demonstrated this in our lab January 2020 and on 2 farms in August of 2020. Next slide, please. And next slide, please. So this, our sales forecast is about half of the potential identified in the previous slide. And next slide, please. We have a seasoned management team, a staff of 24 that are known for quickly developing industrial food safe robotics. Next slide, please. And we have a 5-star advisory board, includes serial entrepreneurs, manufacturing business people, and the biggest Canadian mushroom producer. Next slide, please. In January, we sought to raise $600,000 round to help complete our 4 pilot robot that you see on the slide. We're EBC registered. To date, we've raised $1.2 million, of which $350,000 is from employees. And today we were awarded a $500,000 grant from BC Agritech. Next slide, please. We have excellent exit opportunities as far as strategic exits go. Next slide, please. 22 billion pounds of mushrooms are handpicked every year, and labor is crippling the industry. We have a 1.25 million pilot and 1.2 million equity raised and a $500,000 grant as of today. Join our fungi team.
Awesome. Congratulations, Mike. That was an awesome pitch. Thanks so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
I would now like to welcome to the stage Alex Greer. Alex is the due diligence lead investor who will be joining Mike on stage right now to do the due diligence report and a Q&A. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you very much, Alex. And thank you, Mike, for the presentation and also for being so good over the past couple of months as we've been digging through your business. So my name is Alex Greer. I'm the due diligence lead for TechBrew Robotics, and I'd like to thank the other members of my team, Steve McKay, Grant Lawrence, and Henry King. So in terms of looking through the company, this company has been around for a little while. It was originally a consulting business and pivoted a couple of years ago for this new opportunity. So we had a number of years of financial books and legal documents to go through during the due diligence process. In terms of a team, Mike is a domain expert, so he's been doing industrial automation for a long time. We're so happy to see that, and he's also built a team around himself that has complementary skill sets in manufacturing, computer vision, and sales. And then what we really like to see are target customers who have been brought on board in the advisory board. So they're able to give feedback directly to the company to let them know if the solution they're providing is one that customers really want. So in terms of market, Mike mentioned this, I mean, $50 billion in mushrooms every year, growing at 10% per year. And just the immediate addressable market is $2.2 billion. So this is a huge market to grow into. The other side of the market is looking at competition and barriers to entry. So fortunately, doing our own research, talking to customers, this solution is years ahead of the competition. And in terms of barriers to entry, you create this sort of solution without years of work and a significant team. So in terms of people wanting to buy this solution, the customers have been very clear. Labor pain is an enormous problem for them. If they can get a robot that can do the job, they're going to line up to buy this product. So that's great to see. And then in terms of traction, once there's a pilot project humming along and fully integrated, the first customer in line has about 100 million in potential orders. So this is really nice to see. So Mike, in terms of a few questions, selling the initial robotic system will bring in some initial revenues in the near term. How do you ensure continued growth down the road?
Well, I hate to say that the old adage, build it and they will come, but there's such pent up demand in the industry for this. It's the biggest problem is going to be keeping up with it, I think. And so that's our challenge, is how fast can we grow to meet the demand and minimize pressure for competitors to come in.
Yeah, you certainly have first mover advantage, so that's good. So how are you going to overcome some of those scaling challenges, given that there's a manufacturing and hardware solution?
Well, we're taking a three-pronged approach. Two of the prongs will be based on contract manufacturing, and one will be manufacturing internally. So we're doing that to mitigate risk. You know, if one wheel falls off, we got two more to ride on. So.
Now, given that your initial customers are already all over the world, in Ireland and in the Netherlands, once you have robots installed over the world, how will you be able to maintain these robots and update them?
Well, 90% of that can be done remotely, as it is with our existing systems. And I'd say, yeah, better than 90% of the very limited issues we have are dealt with remotely. For the 10%, we will have boots on the ground when we have sufficient customer traction in those geographic areas.
Okay, and then you're ahead of the competition right now. They're going to see what you're able to do and what kind of market there is. How do you stay ahead of the competition?
Well, we innovate first, fast, and furious. We just keep on innovating, listening to our customer needs, and continue to improve what we're offering.
Perfect. Well, as far as any solution, you know, as far as robotics go, if there was a problem to be solved by robotics, this is it. So thank you so much for all the work you've done and for being so open and transparent with us during this due diligence process. So good luck.
Thanks, Alex.
Awesome. Thank you so much, both Mike and Alex. All right, so our next pitch up this evening is with Joe Tolzman from Rocket Plan. Joe, I would like to welcome you to the virtual stage now to go through your pitch with us. Also love that suit jacket in this photo. Hi, Joe.
Thanks, Alex. Nice to be here.
Perfect. Awesome. We can see and hear you, so take it away. This is your moment.
Thank you. Can I get my slide up, please? Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Joe Polzman, and I'm the founder and CEO of Rocket Plan. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm a serial entrepreneur building multi-million-dollar businesses for the past 15 years. I'm here today to tell you about the business operating platform we built for property restoration insurance claims professionals to solve problems I personally experienced over the past 7 years while running my own restoration company. Could I get the next slide, please? So the problem is that insurance claims are complex and lead to hyperinflated costs due to lack of digitization. There are multiple stakeholders involved, and they all depend on each other's information throughout the life cycle of the claim. Currently, there is no one platform that serves the purpose for the entire claim cycle, and that's why I started Rocketplan. Next slide, please. We're solving the problem with mobile-first solution for easy data capture on the go. It is built for the professionals already performing those tasks using smartphones, so it doesn't require extensive implementation or training. Rocketplan provides automated real-time reports for stakeholders involved, as well as full business operating system for restoration contractors. Maximizing operational efficiency, Rocketplan reduces admin and management labor by over 50%. Next slide, please. 3 of our founding employees work with me in my previous restoration business. Next slide, please. We also have SaaS seasoned team members focused on tech development, commercialization, and customer success with previous experience ranging from companies like Hootsuite, Copilot AI, and Microsoft Enterprise Ecosystem, and some with successful exits of 78 million. Next slide, please. There are over 500,000 employees working in restoration across US and Canada. We're aiming to obtain 80,000 active users at $100 a seat by year 7, generating 100 million in revenue. Next slide, please. There are 4 competing platforms in the industry. They were built prior to the mobile era, and neither serves the purpose for the entire project claim cycle. There's several similar companies in different verticals that achieved multi-billion-dollar success. Service Titan being one of them, servicing primarily plumbers and HVAC contractors, Procore, mostly new construction, and PlanGrid, primarily tenant improvements contractors. Now it's our turn in property restoration insurance claim vertical. Next slide, please. Rocketplan's business model is SaaS. We're budgeting $600 for customer acquisition and $2,400 for lifetime value of the customer for a ratio of 4:1 to generate $100 per seat. Next slide, please. Our go-to-market strategy is through 3 main channels. 1, LinkedIn with freemium model targeting 350,000 claims professionals, enterprise SMB targeting franchises with 1,000+ locations, and channel partnerships utilizing our existing relationships with companies like Fleur, Concert Properties, and Square One Insurance to gain exposure and traction through their networks for a potential of 600 million in revenue. Next slide, please. Significant capital investment continues. In January 2021, there was 8.15 billion invested in business productivity software. Next slide, please. In our vertical, InsurTech, that is recession-proof with high activity, multiples are pushing 10x revenue and 30 times EBITDA. Next slide, please. One of the giants dominating insurance data analytics space, Verisk, with 32 billion market cap, spent over 900 million on acquisitions in 2019. Rocketplan is built with keeping in mind to fill the void in the market and to integrate with estimating, accounting, and analytics platforms in the industry. Next slide, please. We're in beta testing and on track to start generating revenue in the next quarter. Next slide, please. We're raising 1 million angel round for further product development and customer acquisition. Rocketplan is EBC approved and investors are eligible to claim tax credits of 30%. Next slide, please. Thank you for your time and interest. I'll be happy to connect and discuss this opportunity further. Back to you, Alex.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. Congratulations on wrapping up the pitch and being a part of the final 6 this evening.
Thank you.
All right, so I would like to welcome to the virtual stage Tim Miller, who is the due diligence lead investor, who can join Joe on stage right now. Welcome, Tim.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, Tim.
Hi, we can see and hear you, so you're good to go, Tim. Take it away.
Perfect. So I got the job of being the team lead for Rocket Plan, and along with my team, Chad Glarde, Josh Good, James Galvin, Lance Schaefer, we got a chance to poke and prod Joe over the last several weeks and try to learn a little bit more about his business. It was nice to have the team involved because they each have a little bit different background and can ask Joe a whole bunch of questions that maybe one of us wouldn't have thought of on our own, and brought a lot of their curiosity to the process. Really, we were looking to understand, what is Rocket Plan? What's this big idea that he's trying to solve, and how we create value in the marketplace? We're also, looking around to find out what makes this a good idea. Is there a market? Does the proposed product offering that Joe's got here address it? And does the company have a plan that hangs together? And we're also looking to see how confident are we that the founder and the team know what they need to do in order to succeed. And that maybe the last thing is particularly part of this summit is how we as angel investors can help. That there is an ask for money, but beyond that, how can we help these businesses realize? So just quickly to share some of what we discovered during the process. So as the weeks progress, we learn more and more, and I guess our confidence, the confidence of the team, continue to improve. Joe's comes off as a pretty credible CEO. He knows how to make a plan and act to a plan. His team is assembled what looks like a really solid team that fills all the holes and gaps you think you might need to get a software solution into market and succeeding. We had opportunity to speak with just about every member of the team, and they all exhibited confidence in both the idea and Joe as leader, and that really helps. One of the team leads mentioned there's a data room that the investors or investees are meant to prepare, and Joe's was complete and thorough and well organized. And that something like that really gives you confidence, some confidence that this is a business that works, and this is a leader that knows how to execute a plan. The other thing we looked at is the market opportunity, and is it as big as Joe thinks it is? And it is a big market with what appears to be a fragmented set of solutions being offered to it. And if Joe is successful at capturing it as he says he hopes to be, there is a real business opportunity in it. The most dominant competitors are built in legacy platforms and not quite as customer centric as what Rocket Plan's trying to build. And as far as traction in the market, you saw what Joe's got a plan to get into the marketplace, and we'll ask him lead into a few questions, Joe, to help you address that. So one of the questions that we as an investor keep hounding Joe about is he's invested a lot of his own resources and a lot of time and effort to get this product really market ready instead of doing a more modest MVP. Can you tell us why you decided to do that, Joe?
Thanks, Tim. Because I'm confident that this solves the problem, as I experienced it firsthand while I was working in the industry. But we also validated this with our initial customer discovery in different geo areas, from New York, Chicago, San Fran, LA, and then we went down south to Florida, Texas, and Nevada. And we also have that validated by some of the industry experts. So we're solving the problem for a $72 billion recession-proof industry in US, Canada alone. So it is crucial to be market ready.
Great. What makes you confident that you have the strategy and the team to execute on your plan?
So 3 of our founding employees came with me from restoration. So we know the industry. And to strengthen our position, we added a tech team with previous experience in building SaaS products that they scaled to a successful exit of 78 million. A customer success and business development team with previous experience in scaling SaaS companies from Hootsuite to Copilot AI, Microsoft ecosystem. And we all have previous experience in building, running, and scaling businesses. And We believe we have the right strategy to capture the market. Our go-to-market strategy is to be easily accessible to our users and provide them with immediate value. So easy onboarding and immediate results. We build RocketPlan as a mobile-first solution that is based on smartphone features and without the need for extensive training and onboarding in order to accelerate the traction and minimize churn.
Amazing.
Thanks,
Thank you
Joe.
so much, Joe, and thanks, Tim. Enjoy the rest of your evening. All right, we're heading into the last pitch of this evening. So I would like to welcome Melissa Welsh and Mike Irvin to the virtual stage. They're with Livet. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Mike.
Hello, hello. Can you hear us okay?
Perfect. I can hear both of you and you're both up on the camera. So take it away. Have fun.
All righty. Well, hi, everybody. My name is Mike Irvin. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Livet.
And I'm Melissa Welsh, a co-founder and chief operating officer.
Next slide. In 2009, I became a diver and I realized the lack of ocean literacy in schools. Soon after, I started a master's in education where I studied the benefits of online interactive resources in the classroom. I imagined a nature Netflix, but better. A place where you could inspire conversation and connect kids to the natural world. I went on to defend my thesis, live from underwater, which was the world's first. Fast forward to 2017, the province of British Columbia overhauled the school curriculum to respond to our rapidly changing world. Resource providers like textbook publishers, they can't keep up, and teachers are left with outdated resources or none at all. And there is a lack of Indigenous worldviews or no resources in French supporting the new curriculum. And then COVID, which has forced teachers into emergency online learning with even less support. Next slide. Online learning is exploding. The pandemic has accelerated inevitable changes in the education market. And now, more than ever, traditional teaching has had to shift to personalized and interactive learning approaches. Next slide.
Livet delivers mind-blowing online programs featuring stories that empower teachers and engage youth. Our programs include STEAM, science, tech, engineering, art, and math education, and are available in French, English, and include Indigenous worldviews. Unlike other EdTech resources, our programs are designed to spark conversations and inspire deeper learning away from screens. Next slide.
We have bootstrapped Livet by developing multi-year partnerships with organizations who support the creation of our programs. Our NTS, Nerd Translation Solution, connects their youth engagement initiatives to the curriculum. We then sell access to the content through a subscription to our platform. As a result of COVID, we have exceeded our revenue goals. Next slide, please.
The EdTech market is set to be a $45 billion industry in 2026. Our current focus is the 20% of elementary schools across Canada. We then expect to move into the US and expand our market size with high school versions of our programs. Next slide.
This year, we have grown our revenue quarter over quarter. We are ramping up our subscription sales and our program partners are now signing multi-year agreements. Also, our teachers love us. Next slide.
There are other online resources available, but no one is connecting the curriculum in so many interactive ways, and few are putting the kids in the center of the experience. It's also worth noting that because of the nature of our programs, many of our would-be competitors would benefit from our rewarding partnership opportunities. Next slide. We have currently sold $32K in subscription revenue through word of mouth. We have developed and are testing our go-to-market strategy and sales funnel for enterprise subscriptions. We expect to spend 2021 optimizing our strategy, scaling in 2022, and moving into the US market with a Spanish offering in 2023. Next slide.
Our management team is a passionate, well-educated group of entrepreneurs and educators. We have been recognized as innovators in the field of online education. Next slide. This includes being recognized by National Geographic after producing the world's first underwater dive show into IMAX theaters live. Next slide, please.
We blew past our revenue goals and will finish Q4 with more than $500K in revenue. We are raising $600,000 to scale marketing and sales. We are also looking for connections, conversations, and mentors. We have a commitment to the full round subject to the final pieces of due diligence. If we win the competition, the investors are willing to carve out $145K under the terms currently being negotiated. It's worth noting we're also in the process of applying for EBC and expect to raise another $2 million later this year to scale. Next slide.
When you think of Libet, we want you to think of National Geographic's sense of adventure, the streaming experience of Netflix, and the imagination of Disney. Our vision and mission is to spark curiosity, build empathy, and be the global connector between youth and the natural world. Thank you very much. Next slide, please.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to both Mike and Melissa. Congratulations on the pitch. I'm excited to welcome up Mia Schull-Olmsted, the due diligence lead investor, to join Mike and Melissa on the virtual stage. Welcome.
Hi there.
How's it going, Maya?
Good, thanks. Everybody hear me all right?
Yeah, sounds
Excellent.
good. Take it away.
Excellent. Okay. I just wanted to say that I joined the summit in order to be able to work with activist investors who care very deeply about increasing opportunities for everybody. I'm nervous, so you're going to see me reading this on the screen. As one of the newest angels, I encourage everybody out there to join this learning process. This summit program supports both founders and investors. We all get to learn together, and together we make a difference if we pool our resources to benefit everyone in the beautiful Syilx Okanagan territories, where many of us are currently situated as guests. Nobody arrives here alone, and so to that end, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the summit, my family, my elders, specifically my biology teacher and lifelong mentor, Claudia Malier. I would like to thank the amazing faculty of Creative and Critical Studies and the Arts Co-op program at UBC Okanagan, which allowed me to be here. My due diligence team mentored me as a nascent angel, and they have earned a virtual single malt scotch from me. Together, Taylor Rice, Jason Neal, Sheldon Gardner, and I explored a number of areas during our due diligence research. The strength of the team in particular, Mike and Melissa, are the lead co-founders that you have met tonight. They are supported by the co-founder, CDO, and Quebec native French language educator, Maeve Gauthier, along with David Russell-Lowen, the Director of Education. Their strengths in education, innovation, conservation, film, and media, combined with business acumen, positions this team perfectly to lead an edtech enterprise. If we cite Harvard Business Research, gender and culturally diverse, multilingual executive teams are 27% more likely to create superior value and 33% more likely to have industry-leading profitability. Libet is created by educators for educators. With high-quality, story-rich, integrated learning experiences, Libet is poised for exponential growth as educators and families continue to adopt edtech solutions. These are going to play a significant role in creating diverse jobs for all future generations. Education across the globe is shifting towards student-centric and inclusive learning, and a key component of making an inclusive learning environment is implementing technologies that address students with different learning needs. In 2019, worldwide financial markets estimated the value in this space as $76.4 billion US, with a projected growth of 18% yearly from 2020 to 2027, and that was before COVID-19. With a projected global population of 2 billion people by 2027, the global value of the edtech market now stands at almost $252 billion US. Yes, that's with a B. So Melissa and Mike, can you please elaborate on what you perceive to be your market traction?
Thanks for that intro there, Maya, and that recap. It gave me goosebumps listening to you. The education sector is on the cusp of digital revolution. In the age of digitization and artificial intelligence, EdTech enables schools and institutions to offer innovative solutions such as immersive content like undersea scuba dive broadcast live in IMAX theaters. Libet combines compelling visual storytelling and interactive experiences for students in real time with question and answer sessions where students can engage with experts from diverse backgrounds originating from all around the world.
You know, I have many children and educators in my world, so just as heaps of you in the audience do. I have subscribed for the last 3 months to the Live It platform just to kick the tires a bit. Live It is amazing. It is their secret sauce, just to see the charm and the delight in the eyes of children. So I encourage you to subscribe for this program yourselves. But they have demonstrated an ability to pivot. Mike and Melissa, we have seen your fusion of art with science and education with tech, and that's very impressive. It addresses 8 of the UN Sustainability Development Goals. So I'd like you to speak also to your company's commitment to environmental, sustainable, and corporate governance initiatives.
Well, thank you so much for that question, Maya, and thank you for supporting us through this process. As our vision and mission states, is that we're here to spark curiosity and build empathy and be the global connector between youth and the natural world. We work with many organizations that have outreach initiatives to support diverse youth engagement around environmental sustainability and career connections. One of these organizations that we actually work with right now is the BC Ministry of Environment and Climate Change Strategy. Climate change is a reality that we face, but we don't have to be afraid of it. Our goal is to edutain and support youth to better understand and take action in the areas that interest them.
I really appreciate your efforts to focus on the positive. So as we close this out, I just want to ask you, are there other entities that would be attractive for you to partner with strategically?
Absolutely, Maya. Because our programs are cross-curricular, it creates plenty of opportunities for us to partner with other ed tech organizations and story partners who might traditionally be viewed as competitors.
Awesome. Thank you so much to Maya, Melissa, and Mike for your time this evening. And congratulations, that's wrapped up our final pitch.